Hey y'all, welcome back to Homemade Simple. If we've not met before, I'm Lori. I am so glad that you're here today. I have an exciting video to share with you. I'm going to show you how you can feed your family this week for $50. I've made up my menu and my grocery list, and I'm ready to go in and purchase all of the items that we're going to need to feed our family for $50. I'll make sure and give you a few pointers throughout the store, and then we'll head home and I'll show you how to cook up these delicious meals for your family so that you can stay on budget while still giving your family delicious and nutritious meals. Let's go in and get started. Before I get too far into the video, I want to tell you that I'm having a grocery giveaway this week to celebrate 20,000 subscribers on Homemade Simple. I'm going to give away two $50 Walmart gift cards to help you pay for your family's groceries this week. Stay tuned until the end of the video. I will let you know how to register for the giveaway and how to find out if you're a winner. And speaking of Walmart, I want to let you know that I have already run the numbers for this grocery pickup, and it did come in right at $50. I'm hoping that Aldi will be a little bit cheaper, but even if it isn't, you can find everything you need for $50 at Walmart. One of the things that I try to do whenever I'm creating these low budget meal plans is to make sure that I incorporate things that are easy to make at home on our own without having to source them at the grocery store. I want to emphasize the need for good nutrition and healthy options in a meal plan, even this low. It's easy to fill our buggies with convenience foods that might be inexpensive per unit price, but they really are not going to provide the kind of nutrition that our family needs throughout the week. So we're not going to have any snacks in this budget. We're not going to have a lot of fluff, but what we are going to focus on is having some good nutritious options for our family to hopefully keep them full throughout the entire day. We're gonna have healthy and filling breakfasts and lunches, and then some special dinners that we can make for our family without having a lot of complicated directions and a lot of ingredients. We can still provide good, nourishing, healthy meals for our family without having to go over our budget or go into a lot of trouble. That does mean that we're gonna have to be careful about the options that we choose, and a lot of times a stocked pantry is going to be your best friend in creating a low budget meal plan for your family that you can follow on a repeated or regular basis. So some of the items that we're going to use in this week's meal plan are what I would consider staple items. I'm going to assume that you have flour, sugar, oil already in your pantry. I'm not going to include them in this week's budget price. But if you do not have those kinds of things on hand, you can find them pretty inexpensively, and it should only add maybe $7 to $8 on the total cost for this week's plan. I do have some pantry stocking videos. I will make sure and link them here. That might give you a little bit of help if you don't have your pantry started already, to be able to build a pantry that will help you be able to feed your family on a really low budget on a regular basis. Like I said earlier, there's not a lot of room in this $50 budget for fluff. So snacks, juices, any kind of extras are not going to be included, but that doesn't mean that you can't provide those for your family. That just means that this $50 is going to go toward the breakfast, lunches, and dinners for our family this week, and any kind of extra that you want to provide for your family can be added to that total. I really don't like for my family to feel like I'm withholding food or keeping them from having the things that they want to eat, and so for me and my family, I might add $10 or $20 for snack foods and other convenience items that's not going to be included in this $50 meal plan. I'll be sure and give you all of the items on the grocery list, as well as the full recipes that you're going to need for all of these meals for your family. You can adjust them for any kind of allergies or ingredients that you would like to replace, but you can find all of the recipes that I use down in the description box or in the first pinned comment. everything on my list except for the rotisserie chicken, which they do not sell here at Aldi. I did look for an alternative, maybe a small pack of chicken that included just a little bit of chicken that I need for those recipes, but I wasn't able to find anything that was better than the $4.99 that I can get the rotisserie chicken for at Costco. So I'm gonna run by Costco, get the rotisserie chicken from there, and then we will be all ready for all of the recipes that I have planned for this week's meal plan. The total at Aldi came up to be $46.07. When I add in the $4.99 for the rotisserie chicken, that makes it just a little over $51, which I'm not going to complain about, but that actually surprises me that Walmart came in cheaper on this meal plan than Aldi did. But the good news is Walmarts are much more prevalent than Aldi, so there are a lot more people who can benefit from this meal plan being from Walmart than Aldi, which is a win-win in my book. I tried to make this menu as family friendly as possible and as nutritiously packed as I could. There are going to be a little bit of deficiencies in this meal plan. There's really just no way to get every single nutritional need for your family in a $50 meal plan. So just know that you can make up those deficiencies next week or next month and everything should work out just fine. There's not going to be any kind of detrimental effect from having a $50 meal plan here and there to help us boost our budget and save as much as we can in the long run. I'm gonna go check out and I'm gonna head over to Costco and get that rotisserie chicken, and then we'll head home and start making these recipes. As far as our meal plan for breakfast and lunch, it's going to be really simple and no frills. So your options for breakfast are either a cup of milk, some oatmeal, or some rice. You can sweeten or flavor the rice or oatmeal however you choose. I usually just use a little bit of brown sugar in my oatmeal. If I have some nuts, I will throw those in as well. But it's going to have to be pretty simple and straightforward. No extra ingredients or costs are going to be able to be put on breakfast. It is important that you start your day with some good nourishment, but this week it's going to have to be really simple and no frills. As far as lunch goes, there are a lot of leftovers in this meal plan, and so the leftovers from dinner are going to provide a lot of the lunches for the family throughout the week. If you don't have enough leftovers for the next day, you can use rice and beans as a good, simple, easy to prepare ahead of time lunch. It will heat up well at work or school in the microwave, and if you have a little bit of salsa to throw on top, that will make it a delicious option. Also, we do have a couple of extra potatoes that you can have some baked potatoes for lunch with a little bit of the cheese that we purchased. Also, you may be able to find a couple of things in your pantry. This is going to be a perfect week to clear out some of the unused things in your pantry that you have been storing there, waiting to find a use for. This is the perfect use for them. Find those items and pull them out and use them for this week's lunches. As far as the major hitters in this meal plan, our focus is going to be on dinner each night. I have all of the recipes down in the description box. If I can't fit them there, you can find them in the first pinned comment. And I think you're going to be surprised at how nourishing and delicious these meals are at such a low cost budget. With all that being said, it's time to get into the dinner recipes for the week. I'm really excited about sharing these with you, so let's get started. It's time to make dinner tonight. We're gonna have taco soup. I'm going to use ground chicken. That was the least expensive meat that I could find that would work in this recipe. I'm cooking some black beans in the Instant Pot. I've got my other ingredients ready to go. You can also cook this in the crock pot and leave it to cook all day while you're gone. That might be a really good use of your time this week, but I'm just going to use a pot and cook it on the stove. It'll be done in 30 minutes or less, except for the fact that I have to wait on my beans. I should have already had them done. I didn't, so forgetfulness is gonna cost us some time tonight. I'm gonna start by browning the chicken in the pot. Reducing the number of dishes is really important to me, so I'm just gonna brown the chicken in the pot that I'm gonna cook the soup in. I remembered we had a few extra onions from the bag that I bought at Aldi, so I'm going to add half of a diced onion in here to the chicken as it's cooking. Also, because I know that this is so lean and it's not going to have any fat that needs to be drained, I'm going to go ahead and add my seasonings. I don't really measure my seasonings. So I'm going to add a teaspoon of cumin and a tablespoon of chili powder, a little bit of garlic powder, 2 teaspoons or so of salt. And the thing that makes this really good is to use some dill weed. If you don't have that on hand for this week's meal plan, you can go without it. It's not going to be like a game changer or anything, but it does add a good nuance to this soup flavor. So I'm going to add probably 1 teaspoon of dill weed. I'll mix all of that together, and then we'll just let this continue to cook until I know that the chicken is good and done. Then we'll add our other ingredients. Okay, the meat is done cooking. I'm going to add 2 cans of crushed tomatoes. I'm going to add 1 can of corn. You can drain it if you would like, but I just figure there's a little bit of flavor in that liquid, so I'll just keep it in the soup. I'm going to let this simmer on the stove while I'm waiting for the beans to finish cooking. This is the best time to add the beans, but like I said, I sort of forgot and put that off. Okay, I got my beans done, so I'm going to add 2 cups of beans. You can add as many or as few as you would like. I think we're pretty close to being ready to eat. I'm going to serve this with some cheese and sour cream. If you do have some corn chips, those are really good with this. If you have some tortilla chips in the pantry, that's also really good. You can also cook up some rice and put this on top of the rice. If you have plenty for your lunches and you have a little bit left over, that would be a good use of some rice as well. I really like to be real with y'all and sort of transparent. So here's the transparent nugget for today. You know those like Instagram memes that talk about how the healthy, I have plenty of time on my hands person goes to the store, and then when you get home, you're sort of the opposite person and you really don't give a rip about the budget or about anything else, except you really don't feel like doing whatever it was that you determined that you were going to do when you were in the store. Okay, that's where I am right now. So I know that I was really trying to stay in a $50 budget, and that's why I didn't buy hot dog buns. I don't want to make the hot dog buns, but I'm going to make the hot dog buns anyway because I'm a big girl and I can do hard things. I have a sourdough soft loaf recipe that I'm going to try. Okay, full disclosure, again, I don't really make my own hot dog buns. So this is going to be a trial and error kind of thing. But I do make this sourdough loaf regularly, and it is good and it is soft enough to qualify for a hot dog bun. Now, it's not going to be like fluffy soft like a regular store-bought hot dog bun is going to be, but it's going to be fine. And me and you will learn together how to make a sourdough hot dog bun, and I'm going to grow in maturity in the process. So here goes nothing. And one other thing I forgot. If you don't have a sourdough starter going in your kitchen, first of all, I'll link my video here so that you can watch a tutorial about how easy it is to have a sourdough starter. It's really a simple and no frills approach to creating your own sourdough. But if you don't have a sourdough starter already going, just check on Pinterest. There's plenty of different recipes for an easy bread recipe that will work. Any kind of bread recipe is going to work for your hot dog buns, as long as it's not like a really dense thick, heavy kind of bread. You want like a soft loaf bread recipe, and then you can just form it into the hot dog bun shape and everything's going to work out fine. Okay, now on to making this sourdough hot dog bun recipe. All of these ingredients are going to be some staple ingredients. We didn't really buy any of these ingredients at the store. So if you do not have the time or the ingredients in your pantry, go ahead and just buy the cheapest hot dog buns that you can find, and then we will work on building up our pantry in a later video. I'm gonna start by adding 3 cups of flour, 2 teaspoons of salt, 2 tablespoons of sugar, and 1/4 cup dry milk powder. That's all the dry ingredients. I'm gonna mix all of that together so that it's well incorporated. I think it will be fine if you don't have dry milk powder for you just to leave that out. Maybe give it another little bit of flour. I think it's just gonna make it a little softer. You can also replace it with some milk. So if you do that, you'll have to fiddle with the numbers a little bit on the wet ingredients, but it should work out just fine. Okay, we're gonna put in 1 egg, 1 cup of sourdough starter, 2 tablespoons of butter, and 1/2 cup of water. Everybody's sourdough starter is going to be different, so if yours is a little wetter than mine, you might need to add a little bit more water. Again, if you are going to be adding milk instead of dry milk powder, then you might want to add that milk into your water so that you're adding the right amount. I'm just going to mix all of this together until it's the consistency to be needed on the counter. Okay, I'm gonna get my hands in this now. That's really just the best way to get a bread dough where you need it to be. Also, this is a good way to make hot dogs a little bit healthier. I do hate to admit the fact that I really like hot dogs, but I don't really like the thought of hot dogs. So I tried to get like the turkey version of hot dogs. I don't know, that might not be any better. I felt like it was a little better than the option of like just the cheapest hot dogs. I felt like the turkey uncured hot dog option was better. Maybe it wasn't. I don't know. For this meal, if I had a little bit more money, I probably would have bought the organic hot dogs at Aldi. At least maybe like the Nathan's hot dogs. Truth be told, I don't really love beef hot dogs, like all beef. I sort of feel like they don't taste great. But like the higher end versions of a hot dog just seems to be a little less of an unhealthy choice. So if you do have a few more dollars, you may want to spend it on buying your hot dog buns instead of making them, and also buying a little bit higher quality. But I think that these turkey hot dogs are going to be fine. And I'm sort of, now that I'm getting into it, I'm sort of excited about making my own hot dog buns. I'm going to knead this dough for probably about 8 to 10 minutes. So sort of the consistency that we're looking for in this bread dough is like a smooth finish on the outside. That's when we know it's ready to go in the bowl and to rise. Okay, this is pretty much the consistency that we're looking for. You can see that it's not sticking to my fingers. It's not sticking to the counter when we pick it up. It is smooth on the outside. I have washed my bowl And now I'm going to just add a little bit of olive oil just to coat the bowl and to coat the bread. You can use butter for this. You can skip this step, but it just keeps it from being really stuck to the bowl whenever it's time to pour it out. Okay, so I'm gonna lay that right there, get my towel, and I'm just gonna cover it, put it in a warm spot, as warm as I can get, and allow it to rise for about 4 hours. So if you're having the hot dogs tonight, you need to be doing this in the morning, or you can alternatively, you can do it the night before or the day before. Okay, it's been about 5 hours or so. My dough is risen about all it's going to, which is not very much. So I'm hopeful that this will turn out okay, but it might not. Okay, so sometimes you just have to act like you know what you're doing. That is going to be the case right now. I'm just going to sort of divide it into, there's 8 hot dogs. I guess I'll just divide it into 8. I'm just going to sort of try to form this into a hot dog shape. Hopefully it's going to rise a little bit, so I'm going to start with that. And I do know that they cook hot dog buns like close together, so I'm going to try that too. Okay, I got them all rolled out. I had enough dough to make 9. I think they might be a little too short, but this is not perfection. This is a hot dog bun. So I think what I'm going to do is put them in a warm place and allow them to rise for about 2 hours, and then I will cook them on 350 degrees, probably for 20 minutes. Let's hope for the best, and I will let you know how they turn out. Okay, they're all done, and actually I'm pretty impressed with how this turned out. So they're ready for tomorrow, and I'm sort of excited and proud of myself for going the extra mile and making my own. It's finally time for our much anticipated hot dog meal. I don't think I've ever been this excited about a hot dog meal before because of my homemade hot dog buns. But I was at an estate sale yesterday, and let me show you what I found. I found this little bitty tiny fryer, and I'm gonna make us some French fries using the little fryer. It's smoking, so that's probably not a good sign. I found some oil in the pantry, and so I'm going to let that oil heat up while I chop up the French fries, and this is going to be an exciting meal. Next up is a sausage and corn chowder. I'm pretty sure I've shared this recipe with y'all before on the channel, but I thought with the budget video, this was going to be a really good opportunity to showcase this inexpensive but really filling and delicious meal. So I'm just going to take 1 pound of breakfast sausage and brown it in a skillet along with half of an onion that I have chopped up. In the crock pot, I'm going to add the sausage and the onion, 1 can of corn, 6 diced potatoes, and about 6 cups of milk. I'm going to stir all of this together, add a little bit of salt and pepper, And then I'm just going to put it on high for about 4 hours or so until the potatoes are nice and tender. After about 4 or 5 hours, it's ready to eat. I did need to mash some of the potatoes a bit to make it a little less thick. I could have used some instant potatoes or some cornstarch to do that as well. It was actually a meal that we had with a get-together with some of our friends coming over for the evening, and it was a big hit. There was none left for leftovers. Baked potatoes, I know, seems like the quintessential frugal meal, but this really was one of my favorite meals this week. I'm going to just poke a couple of holes in each of the potatoes, rub them with some olive oil, and put some salt on them. I cook them in the oven at 400 degrees for about an hour or so, and they came out perfect. I'm going to prepare some toppings for the baked potatoes. I'm going to chop up 1 chicken breast as our protein. I'm also going to have some steamed broccoli and cheese and sour cream and butter as our toppings. This really turned out good, and I was really glad to have Lane helping me put all of the potatoes together. It's always nice to have him as a helper. It's time to make dinner tonight. We're gonna have some spaghetti made with that ground pork that I got for a really great price at Aldi. We're gonna use some of our hot dog buns for our side of bread, and I've got some lettuce and tomatoes and a little bit of cheese that we can have a salad. I've been really excited about the way the meals have come out this week. For this to be a budget meal plan, normally whenever we do that, it's not great. It's good food, but it's not exceptional. But several of the recipes this week have really been tasting good. Have been plenty filling. We've had some leftovers several days. So I really think that this is going well. And for a $50 budget, I think this is just about as good as we could possibly expect to eat for $50. Maybe the prices will go down and we can get the cost down a little bit in a year or two, but for now, I really feel like this is one of the best meal plans that I have been able to come up with for a week's worth of meals that taste like you're not on a super tight budget. For our spaghetti tonight, I'm going to cook up this pound of ground pork. I'm gonna add half of an onion, and also I'm gonna add about 2 tablespoons of Italian seasoning. I'm gonna need you to pretend like you don't see that this meat is a little bit burnt. Trying to multitask, toddler mom style, it didn't work out. Okay, so your meat doesn't have to look like that. Your meat can look perfectly browned. To make our sauce, I'm just gonna pour 1 can of crushed tomatoes. I'm gonna fill this can up with some water just to get all of that extra tomato sauce. Add about 2 tablespoons of olive oil. That might have been too much, maybe just 1 will do. About 2 tablespoons of sugar. Add another tablespoon of Italian seasoning. And about 2 teaspoons of salt. Okay, I'm going to mix all of this together. Allow it to simmer while the pasta is cooking and while I am putting together the salad. I'm also going to put some butter on those leftover hot dog rolls that we made earlier, and I'm going to have those as a side as well. So I'll cook those in the oven for probably, well, I don't know, about 5 or 6 minutes on broil until they're nice and brown. Okay, it's all done and ready to eat. So I'm going to put it on our plates and we are going to chow down. For tonight's recipe, we're going to have an enchilada casserole. So I'm going to make some enchilada sauce really quick. It's easy to do. I'm just going to put 2 tablespoons of oil and tablespoons of flour in a pot. I'm going to whisk that together and cook it for about a minute. And then I'm going to add 1/4 cup of chili powder. I'm gonna blend that really good, keeping it stirred and cooking it for about a minute or so. And then I'm gonna add 2 cups of chicken stock. If you just keep this stirred well and let it thicken, this makes a perfect and delicious enchilada sauce. Okay, we've made our enchilada sauce. The oven is heating to 350 degrees. I'm gonna add all of the ingredients to this mixing bowl. I have pre-cooked 1 cup of rice with 2 cups of water. I went ahead and cooked that ahead of time because I always seem to have like hard rice in recipes, and I try to avoid that. So I went ahead and pre-cooked mine. You can just add the liquid into the casserole dish if you prefer. I'm gonna add 1/2 cup of milk, add half of our recipe of enchilada sauce. I've chopped up 1 chicken breast from a rotisserie chicken. I know that I sort of have gone crazy about the rotisserie chickens, but the reason that I'm including them in this week's recipes is because of the cost factor. This rotisserie chicken, the whole chicken, was only $5, and so this is really probably a third of the chicken. Also, I've chopped up 1 small onion. I'm gonna mix all of this together until it's well combined. If you have more rice, you can add more rice, and that will just make this meal go a little further, and you can have it for lunch tomorrow. I've buttered my 9x13 casserole dish, so I'm going to add all of my ingredients. And now I'm just gonna top it with 1.5 cups or so of cheddar cheese. I'm gonna keep the enchilada sauce for another recipe, so I'm just gonna store that in the refrigerator. You can store it up to 2 weeks, I think, in the refrigerator, and it'll be just fine. So I'm gonna stick this in the oven for about 30 minutes and make sure that the cheese is nice and browned. Let's see how it comes out. It cooked up really nice. I think this is gonna be a filling dinner. I do think I will definitely double the rice the next time so that we can have plenty of leftovers. I've made some bone broth using my rotisserie chicken. So in order to save money and control more of our ingredients, I'm going to make a substitute for cream of chicken for our recipe tonight. I'm gonna add 2 cups of this chicken broth and whisk in 1/2 cup of flour. I'm gonna cook this until it's thickened, and then we will begin putting our casserole together. Literally taken less than 5 minutes. It is a 2 ingredient replacement for a can of cream of chicken soup that is gonna have at least 20 ingredients. So this is a really good option for our budget meals, and really just in all of our cooking, it's just a really good option to avoid processed ingredients. This is all of the chicken that was left over from our rotisserie chicken that we started the week with. We've gotten a lot of use of that $5. We've had 3 chicken meals, I think this is the 3rd chicken meal, and we have also used it for bone broth and to make a couple of batches of the cream of chicken replacement. So this $5 has really gone a long way, and tonight's meal is going to have a lot of extra chicken in it, which is going to be really good for leftovers and for staying power throughout the evening. I've got this ready. I'm cooking my broccoli in the microwave, and then we'll be ready to put our ingredients together. Okay, this is gonna be a real easy dump and go recipe. I've got my chicken here that I have chopped up from our rotisserie chicken. I've steamed a bag of broccoli in the microwave. I'm gonna add that whole bag. And I have some rice that I had left over from cooking some earlier. That is about 1 cup of rice and 2 cups of water. I'm gonna stir all of this together, combine it without trying to mash all of the broccoli. I'm going to add about 1 cup of the cheese that we have left over. Stir that in. Now it's time to add our cream of chicken soup replacement. And we're going to add 1/2 cup of milk. I'm going to stir this together well. And the last thing I want to do is add a little bit of seasoning. So I'll add a couple of tablespoons of salt, about a teaspoon of black pepper, and a couple of sprinkles of garlic powder. You don't want too much of that. That has a tendency to sort of overpower this kind of dish. So we'll just mix all of that together well one more time. And I have a 13 by 9 baking dish here. I don't think the lighting is very good because I forgot to turn my lights on. Sorry about that. Okay, so I'm just going to pour all of this into this 9 by 13 baking dish. Spread it out a bit. And if you have any more cheese, you can just sprinkle a little on the top. You don't have to go heavy on the cheese. I've got my oven preheating to 350 degrees. I'm going to pop this in the oven, bake it for about 30 minutes, and then we'll be ready to eat. Okay, our casserole cooked for about 30 to 35 minutes. It's looking really good. This is going to be a good supper. What I love about these kinds of meals is how simple and easy it is to put together, and how it's just all in one. I really like all-in-one casseroles, so we don't have to do anything extra. If you have a little bit of sour cream left over, you can put that on top. That's completely optional. But this is going to be a nourishing, warm, and delicious dinner to finish off feeding our family for just $50. Are you hungry?
Oh, yeah.
I don't want to end today's video without telling you how to enter the grocery giveaway contest. I'm going to announce the winner on March the 1st, so make sure you stay tuned. All you have to do in order to enter is follow the link in the description box below to follow me on Instagram, subscribe to My Homemade Simple here on YouTube, and then comment on this video that you have followed me on YouTube and on Instagram, and you will be entered into the contest. I'm going to give away 4 $50 Walmart gift cards. I'm really excited about this contest giveaway. It is really my way of thanking you for subscribing to the channel and helping this channel to grow. It means so much to me that you have been such a huge support, and I really appreciate every good and kind word that y'all have provided for me. I hope that you will share this video and tell all of your friends and family about the contest so that they might have a chance to win as well. Be sure to mark your calendars and keep a check on the community page on March the 1st so you can be one of the first to know who the winners are. Thank you so much for watching today. I hope you have a wonderful week. I love you, and I will see you again next time.